Hear it, and see it when you want it. On demand, audio and video at 630WPRO.com.
I mean, is there anyone here who is surprised that living in Rhode Island in the month of December, the temperature goes down? I mean, it's like we forget that it's going to get cold outside. There is no question that we have to address the immediate need, but we cannot stop there. Let us call upon our leaders and tell them not to stop until they have funded the state's plan regarding long-term homelessness. Government safety. Text, tweet, Facebook, email, snail mail, phone. Use any means of communication to tell them that the stones are crying out. Contact your rep and tell them the stones are crying out. Contact Speaker Gordon Fox and tell him the stones are crying out. Contact Senate President Piva Weed and tell her that the stones are crying out. Contact Governor Chafee and tell him that the stones are crying out. God bless you, and may God bless all of us as we work together to find a long-term solution.
And people are excited when they can get a bed on a mat. I was walking down the street the other night after having been at an event, and there was a man sleeping in an alley on Westminster Street. And there were two outreach workers that happened to be walking down the street at the same time I was. And they asked the man if he wanted to go to one of the shelters. And he said, "No, I don't feel safe there. I want to stay here." This is our winter emergency shelter. Temporary. All those years ago, we're still doing the same thing. And we have made some progress. We have models that work. Housing First has housed hundreds of people that were those men and women at Harrington Hall, at Amos House, at Grace Church, at Beneficent Church. We've been able to find housing. Amos House's 90-day program has an 85% completion rate for people who move from our shelter into apartments. We know what works. We know what works. We have a 10-year plan to end homelessness, but you know what? It's not going to be ending today or tomorrow or next year or the year after. It's going to take time. So we can't keep responding to this every August with a group of us sitting around the table saying, where are we going to get the money one more time to get through this winter? And every year, it's like that movie 50 First Dates. You know, you forget the day after what just happened. Well, there's a lot of us in this room who are not forgetting, who are there year after year after year. And we're apologizing because of the work that we're doing. We're apologizing because we're asking our state to help us solve a problem for homeless men, women, and children that do not have a place to live. We're apologizing when we call the Rhode Island Foundation or the United Way or the governor's office to say that we need money. Most of these shelters are running on bare bones. They're paying staff $10 an hour to stay awake all night long to protect 50 men lying on a floor. They're not paying admin costs. We're barely covering utilities. We're getting food donated from the rescue mission and from other places. We are not asking for a lot of money. We're asking to keep people alive. There will be people every winter who will die. I wish that I was just making that up and exaggerating. I remember the one year that Amos House ran the winter shelter over at St. Martin de Porres. And I'll never forget this young woman. I'll call her Alice. She was 22 years old. Every single night, she sat up with a flashlight to study. She was a student at Lincoln Tech. She was working at CVS during the day when she could get shifts. She's also one of the people that we're talking about. If we had another hurricane, thousands of dollars pour into our state to take care of the people who deserve to be homeless. And yet we treat our folks here as the undeserving. Somehow it's their fault. And if it's their fault, then it's our responsibility to make them take care of themselves. But you know what? It's not their fault. In this economy, we have more and more people who are on the brink of homelessness. They're hanging on by a thread. The number of people we're serving, both at Amos House and Macaulay House, has skyrocketed. And those are people who are not homeless yet, many whom are, but many who are just hanging on. So this problem is not going to go away this winter. It's not going to go away next winter. We're asking for a designated funding stream. Even if it means each year we diminish it, we need to diminish it each year because we have to solve this problem. But we're not naive enough to think that we should end this funding stream right now or that we don't need to have these winter emergency shelters. I don't think there's a single person in this room who wants somebody to sleep on a mat on the floor. I don't think so. But that's what we're asking our citizens to do. So I'm asking the leadership, I'm asking the governor's office to really think about it. Go spend a night lying on a mat at Emmanuel and then decide whether or not we need funding to help people get employment and get housing and to be able to take care of their families.